Now, the sixth race of the 2025 Formula One season was the Miami Grand Prix. And at this Miami Grand Prix, there was also a sprint race added to the weekend. So, getting into the sprint race, you had heavy rain before the sprint race. So, on the sighting lap, you had Charles Leclerc, who was driving the Ferrari. He ended up crashing on the sighting lap, which was very, very disappointing for him. He aquaplaned and went into the barriers. So, Oscar Piastri started in pole position for the sprint race of the Miami Grand Prix, and Kimi Antonelli was right next to him in second position in the Mercedes, and there was a good battle into turn one, but Oscar Piastri kept the lead, and he drove very well in the first phase of the sprint race, but in the end, he ended up losing the sprint race win to Lando Norris because of, some tire changes and some virtual safety cars at the end. So that was really, really disappointing for Piastri to start on pole position and not to be able to keep the lead and win the sprint race. Still, he was still leading the World Championship going into the actual main race on the Sunday. So now let's get into the main race. At the main race, there was chaos at the start, which allowed Max Verstappen to take the lead from both McLarens and George Russell. So there was basically four cars into turn one, scuffling, and it was Max Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, and George Russell. But Max Verstappen came out ahead after the first corner. Okay, now on lap 5, Oscar Piastri then had the DRS on Max Verstappen, and he was chasing Max Verstappen, to take the lead. And during this time as well, Lando Norris was making his way through the field, which was very, very good for him, to recover some positions after the first lap, which he lost a couple. And then on lap 14, Oscar Piastri then passed Max Verstappen with a brilliant move, and he took the lead on lap 14. And then he never really looked back from there. He controlled the race, he dominated the race. And on lap 17, you had a battle. Between lap 17 and 18, you had a battle between Lando Norris and Max Verstappen. And Lando Norris managed to come out on top and take second position from Max Verstappen, in this early part of the race. So in this race, it clearly showed that McLaren had the pace over the Red Bull, and the two McLaren drivers in Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris were dominant, and in the end, Oscar Piastri ended up winning the race from Lando Norris, and he was then firmly in the championship lead. So after the Miami Grand Prix, which was the sixth race of the season, Oscar Piastri looked really, really strong and looked firmly, to be heading to, a good championship, fight towards the end of the season. So he was really, really on top, and he looked very untouchable. So moving on to the next race would be the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix.